All right, let's wrap up with the last feud for the month. One that wasn't the worst, Sabu and Raven.
Just Sabu. You know what?
Go on.
I think that this feud was pretty good.
Yeah, so Raven started the month with losing the King of the Mountain match before then pivoting into his proper feud with Sabu.
I was going to say, I like this feud because it actually felt like Sabu was getting something.
Yeah, which is for the first time in TNA history, basically.
Maybe his debut was the last time he had something.
When he faced Shamrock or Malice.
In a ladder match.
In a ladder submission match.
Then that was one of the best eras of TNA because it was just freak show wrestling.
Yeah, and people would show up all the time and then disappear and then show up again.
Which never happens now. Gorgeous George.
You got Shamrock and Gorgeous George this month.
That's less fun than Sabu.
Hey, Shamrock's pretty cool, except he's bad in TNA.
He had a really bad last run. I'm not exactly fucking doing flips over it.
So, June 9th, NWA-TNA baby number 98. Raven is sitting outside the building where he has issued a challenge to Sabu.
Yeah, I like this setting in a different spot. I think that's cool. I like his kind of homebrew version of the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. Yeah, I dig this little aesthetic choice.
My favorite part is they do a second one of these where Raven is just standing outside holding a burning kendo stick.
Good in these pre-edited promo stuff.
Yeah, and then Sabu is sitting backstage pensively looking at a photo of the original Sheik.
Talking to his best friend Sanjay Dutt.
His close personal friend Sanjay.
Which, of course, Sanjay goes into the gut check match as well.
Yeah, so franchise is outside with Raven. Raven is happy Douglas is an interviewer now. Raven points out that he's never had a singles match with Sabu. And then Raven says it's because Sabu is scared of him.
I like that we find out almost immediately that this isn't the case, but Raven still runs with it.
Yeah, he's just he's afraid of me. He doesn't want to fight me. He's a little bitch.
Which I did enjoy.
Sanjay does, as he mentioned, have a gut check match. He defeats David Young, D-Ray 3000 and Shark Boy. I don't know why Sanjay's on the chopping block, but listen, he lost that best of 3 against Red, I guess.
I don't like the gut check match. It just feels mean.
It does. It's you suck and you might be
But also,
fired.
no one ever actually gets fired for losing him, so...
Yeah.
And then, of course, he gets the win and he immediately, leaves the building.
Yeah, because he wants to go tell Raven what Sabu had to say. So Sanjay says there'll be no Raven versus Sabu match and that Raven knows about the promise. Raven slaps Sanjay and they brawl. Raven hits a low blow, attacks Dutt with weapons. Raven DDTs Dutt and says this was on Sabu's hands. Said promises they're made to be broken as Sabu checked on a beaten and battered Dutt.
Well, was Sabu just hanging out the front while Dutt was getting the shit kicked out of him?
Yeah, because of the promise. So he just has to stand there and watch as his pal gets killed.
It would have been even funnier if Raven was seen on camera just watching. Sabu, of course, I mean. But he's going, I wish I could help, but I can't.
He does the NXT conflicted face. June 16th, Hudson has Raven. Hudson then explains that Sabu and Raven have vowed to the Sheik that they'd never wrestle. I feel like they should have held that little mystery a little longer.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but
I think it's a decent question as to, why doesn't Sabu want to face Raven? And they do then explain that it's because they were both trained by the Sheik and they promised they would not wrestle each other.
Yeah, and because it also, that would make the time when Sabu finally does do it, it's why is now okay? What rules are? And then you could have the big moment where it's revealed why Raven wasn't doing it, but now he has to overcome that promise because of what Raven's done.
Yeah, Raven was mad that Sanjay interjected himself into this and it says again, promises are made to be broken. So then he faces Sanjay. Raven, as mentioned, he hurt his ribs in one of the dark matches before TV, and he was still injured here, and he wrestled Sanjay, and he aggravated that rib injury. So we're gonna get slow development on this story for a while.
It feels like Raven does kind of disappear for a bit
because I think this is Raven's last actual appearance. He does a promo where he's like, "Oh, you were right all along," because the Dusty got through to him. We'll talk about that in one sec. And then they do the thing where he hangs him, but the Raven's not actually there then. So I think this is actually the last show Raven is on this month.
Yeah, but what did you think of the match?
Yeah, so Raven basically squashes Sanjay. He had it one with a powerbomb, pulled him up. Raven promises to keep beating Sanjay until Sabu comes out. Raven pulled Dutt up again, taped his hands together, tries to maul Dutt with a screwdriver.
My favorite subtle thing that he did was he's I'm gonna keep torturing you, and he just rubs his face into the mat, and I was like, that looked awful to take.
Dropped hold him onto a chair. Raven pinned him, and Thomas then gave the fast count to save Sanjay because Raven kept pulling him up, so the referee kind of intervened via fast count.
That's a good touch, actually. I like that.
I would say you have ref stoppage powers, but I guess it's Raven's rules. This was a Raven's rules match, so maybe he was no ref stoppages.
There's no DQ. There's no stopping. Yeah, I like it though.
So Raven starts taping Dutt's legs. He wants Dutt to call out for Sabu, which Dutt eventually does. Sabu gets between Raven and Dutt. Raven slaps Sabu. tries to provoke him. Sabu doesn't rise to it.
Fucks up Sabu. He beats the shit out of him.
He really does lay in those shots, which again really does work for the angle they're going for, that he's really trying to get the rise out of Sabu here.
And this is Sabu, you know, this is the fucking wild man, and he's not biting.
Eventually, Dusty comes out after security intervenes, and then he chastises Raven for not respecting the Sheik and forgetting what Sabu did for him. Then Dusty invites Raven to take a shot, to fight him instead, and Raven walks away.
Raven being like, this has nothing to do with you. Get out.
I'm a little sad we never get a Raven and Dusty match, but that would rule.
Or even just more Raven Dusty back and forth.
Yeah. So we have Sabu drama.
I love Sabu drama. Let's go.
Sabu's return all along was to set up for him to team with Raven and then feud, even though the team never really got going and plans for them to do a traditional split up kept changing. Raven pushed for it, thinking Sabu was the one wrestler he had never worked a singles match against, even though they were together in ECW as two of the company's biggest stars. Sabu, who had screwed up more than once in the past in TNA, had some office people arguing against using him. While his matches haven't been off the charts, he internally had zero problem during this run. Both he and Stephanie Bellers overslept their flights, reoccurring trend here in TNA.
Stop booking early flights.
Sabu got in 4 hours late for television, as he also missed the second flight, and the company has been insistent, guys, don't miss their early morning flights.
Jeff, please, we need you to make it.
When he got there, he was a mess. Jerry Jarrett, who almost never yells at anybody, tore him up bad, and Sabu really respects Jarrett because he respects all the veterans. He was scheduled for a post-show dark match main event against Abyss, with the idea of giving the live crowd a special match. For one, the live crowd didn't really care once TV was over. Second, the match was, from several different sources, terrible. The funny thing is, according to wrestlers watching, it was Abyss and not Sabu who was in the wrong position and blew the spots. Others say it was Sabu though. But since Sabu was a mess and everyone could see that, he got the blame. There were people talking about not using him any longer, and Sabu was enraged after the show, saying he was frustrated how he was being used because he wanted to do more wrestling. He complained that his role in the pay-per-view, where he just stood there while holding a photo, was getting money he didn't earn because he didn't do a match. Which, that's the most honorable thing I've ever heard a pro wrestler say.
Also, I don't believe it for a second.
In the Abyss match the next night, the match ended with Raven doing a run-in on Sabu, and in climbing into the new six-sided ring, he thought he cracked a sternum. As it turns out, X-rays revealed a broken rib, although he's at this point expected to be out for 2 to 4 weeks.
Explains why this feud's kind of on ice a little bit.
By the time the night was over, Sabu was telling friends he wanted to quit, and several in the company thought he should be fired. Others were arguing against firing him, but said he shouldn't be used for a while. One person in the company who was close to him felt firing would throw him into a depression, and for his sake, giving him time off was the best thing for him. Others wanted to ignore what happened so as not to interrupt the plans. Fucking wrestling. And there was even a suggestion of keeping him around for the first match with Raven, which is now going to be a few weeks away, and hold off any other decision until then. At press time, it appeared they were going to keep using him so as not to change pre-existing plans.
The Jarrett's kind of running into the situation that I run into every time I try to book TNA 2004 to 2006, where Sabu continues to be a problem.
Now you understand why all those mods are train wrecks, where it's like everyone's unhappy, everybody's bickering. You look at this backstage locker room, it's like, oh yeah, it's actually true to life, isn't it?
It's like, yeah, can you get it together for my sake? I'm sure. I remember like this one time we were playing and you're trying to do this like Sabu, Rhino, Raven thing, and just every show they would all be fucking up, and you're like, come on, please.
Just want to have one good match, please. Come on, guys.
And then like I see, like it's a hard thing because I guess it's not like the biggest storyline on the show, so you could find a way to cool it off for a bit, but they have invested weeks into this now. But also like you should probably put people's health above all.
Yeah. Your little wrestling story doesn't matter, ultimately.
It's a hard balance. Especially with guys like, you know, a Sabu who's, like, insisting that he wants to be a part of the show. And, like, you have guys telling you that, like, if you did fire him, it wouldn't be beneficial to him anyway. So it's like, I mean, I don't envy the challenge of balancing people in that position, you know?
It is ultimately a no-win situation.
Which is, I guess, is the no fun part. Like, especially because now, you know, TNA is being presented as a major pro wrestling company. If it's just an indie, then you're just like, well, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. We can just not book the guy for the next show. But this is a television pay-per-view product now, and with that, some expectations come along, and it becomes a more serious and more dependent business.
Yeah, it's not like this stuff never happens in WWE, but it is exceedingly rare that you have these kind of blow-ups, like the kind of Sasha and Naomi walking out thing. Is such an impactful news story because it just doesn't really happen there. People just like swallow their problems and get on with it.
Yeah, and then when it does happen, you know, they get villainized in the media.
They do the full hit job.
Park gets put on ice for a year and a half. Mustafa Ali is on the same way until they make him swallow his pride and get back to work, It's a lot.
So later in the show, Hudson has Raven. Raven apologized to Sabu after Dusty's speech and says next week he's going to have a tribute to the Sheik. And Mike Tenay is like, I like that Mike Tenay is like, he's fucking lying. I don't believe him.
We go to this.
Yeah, before that, we do have the Naturals face Sabu and Sanjay on Impact. Naturals win with the Naturals.
It was a decent little match.
So yeah, Franchise is backstage. He's looking at Raven's tribute to Sabu, which was a dummy hanging itself.
I hate to say that I did not trust TNA enough to not go and search his cause of death. Because I was like, okay, I need to see how bad a taste this is. He died of heart failure. So
it's only kind of in bad taste.
Yeah.
He'd only died the year before, too. It's not like he's been dead 20 years.
Yeah. I imagine that, to be honest, though, like, if I'm the Sheik, I'm probably the workerest worker in the world. And I'm like, yeah, man, do it.
Yeah, you turned my death into an angle.
100%. Which I guess that was always the Eddie defense in WWE.
Eddie would have loved this. So Franchise is like, you don't want to look at this Sabu, but then Sabu walks in, looks at it, he's sad. Then Mickey Doyle randomly approaches and tries to talk Sabu into doing the right thing.
Which is to beat the fuck out of this guy and break your promise to your dead uncle. Yeah, Mickey Doyle, they built up throughout the whole show that he was here for personal reasons, not just to be a legend.
Yeah, because they had a bunch of seats there, because like Larry Z was there, Sarah the Ticket Taker was there, Harley Race was there, Dusty was meant to be there, but he was taken out by the guitar shot, and Mickey Doyle was there.
You're selling it.
Dusty's a pro.
Which of these names?
Even though Dusty did walk out of the main event.
I also do love a little Harley appearance. I'm always down for a Harley Race appearance.
Yeah, he never does much in Impact, but
he's also just a cool dude, isn't he?
Corsica Joe was the last person there.
Who I definitely know.
He's been on the show before.
But who I definitely know.
As this guy who shows up occasionally in TNA. We did Raven's injured, so he's hurt his ribs. Apparently he had severe cases of pneumonia too. He's having a rough time, Raven.
Yeah, I can relate. Well, we get to end it on a real strength here.
So yeah, Sabu and Sanjay defeat Team Canada. Nice little match. That's it.